Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back to session 4, episode 4 of Life Beyond the Field with our Coyote Brotherhood members. Joined here today by JR, Pat. We got a special guest, Jerus Campbell, today, and he's going to be sharing with us a little bit about his journey. And we're really trying to bring Coyote Brothers together to be able to collaborate, share some ideas, share some experiences, help people to get to know each other from different decades. And we're excited to get a chance to jump into Jerus's background. His background started back in 1979. He was one of the first members to join in the Dome and to be able to have that amazing experience. And we'll hopefully tap into a little bit of his experience with that. But JR, you want to kick things off?
Sure, David. Again, Jerus, thanks for being here. And Pat and David, always a pleasure seeing you guys. Before I get started here with Jerus, I just want to shout out to the Brotherhood. Here again, we just finished up our fundraiser. Looks like the final numbers are going to put us over 123,000 with a goal of 100. Wow. That's amazing. We had over 130 guys donate. So really awesome job, guys. Really appreciate your support. Coach Nielsen has reached out to me. He's ecstatic because this money goes directly into the football program. It's going to help those young guys over the summer, and it helps them with a video coordinator. So terrific work. Thanks again. Appreciate you. But let's get to the real reason why we're here tonight. Jerus, hey, thanks for taking the time. We're excited to kind of hear your story and just maybe kick us off a little bit on your background, how you ended up at USD, and maybe a few stories about some of your Coyote brothers along the way.
Yeah, thanks, JR. And I sure appreciate the chance to be part of the life after the field, because believe me, at age 62, I know there's a whole lot of life after the football field, as I guess we all do. I was raised in Miller, South Dakota. That's a small ranching community, about 70 miles east of our state capital, Pierre. For you Iowans who don't really know the geography, sorry, but really it was just a great sports town. About 1,500 people. Bob DeGeest is an old, rest his soul. Goose was from Miller, and we've been friends, all during his life. But again, a great sports town, one of those smaller towns that would close up Main Street if there was a good game or something, a big event. And so really, it was really a great place to grow up. I mean, me and my pals, needless to say, like most of us, playing football, basketball, wrestling maybe, track in the spring, baseball in the summer. It was idyllic. It was a great upbringing. And needless to say, I guess as a refresher for Miller, South Dakota, back then there were two classes in South Dakota, Class A and Class B. Like maybe 32 cities were Class A and everybody else was Class B. Well, Miller just happened to be the smallest city in Class A. And so I still remember the bumper stickers back when everybody had a bumper sticker, and everybody in town had this bumper sticker, and it was green, and it had the cattle rustler. We were the Miller Rustlers on a horse, and underneath it was the smallest is the mightiest. And so that's how I grew up. We always thought of ourselves as kind of a small town, but we were competing against all the bigger cities. And I was real fortunate in high school, all state football, all state basketball. And so I really had an opportunity to dream a little bigger. And I was fortunate then to have a father who was a legacy. So he went to USD back in the mid-50s, ended up graduating from law school at USD. He was a ranch kid, very first kid from our family to even go to college. So when my time came, he was diehard Coyote. And so A, yeah, I was going to college, and B, it was going to USD, which was just fine by me because they had that beautiful Dakota Dome and nobody'd ever seen anything like it. And so I arrived at fall camp 1979, and you're awestruck. nobody's ever seen anything like this before. At least I hadn't, coming from Miller. And needless to say, we were all used to playing in the mud and the snow and the cold. And this was just, well, it was just awe-inspiring. And so that's kind of how it started. And I think as Pat or JR mentioned, or David, I guess, that we were the first class to spend all 4 years in the Dakota Dome. And so I arrived at fall camp, and of course the Dome taught us these new phrases, fellas. You're going to know this: turf toe and turf burns. Now, I don't know. You guys ever have turf toe? Hyperextended big toe. It's not real sexy, but I got it like every season. And Rob, the trainer, he did some kind of a plastic thing that put on my foot that allowed me to keep playing. So that's just a memory, a kind of a funny memory. And then of course, turf burns. I mean, we'd never seen anything like that before. You're going like, oh my God. I mean, the top level of my skin is gone, but then there was that purple stuff. That purple magic liquid stuff, and it saved us. So I'm just going through these memories, and those two things come to mind right away. But again, you show up at fall camp, and hopefully everyone who's listening to this probably has similar memories. But I start looking around, and I don't really know what I got myself into, because I'm 6'3". I was basically built like a basketball player. So I was 6'3", $180, and I'm a defensive end. And I'm looking around like at my class, and I'm looking at people like Roger Lindy and Chevy Kurtenbach and Dan Fox and Huck Clements and the Groton Flashes. You had Kip Ferris and Brett Newman back in the day. And I'm looking at Brett Newman, and God rest his soul. We lost Brett over a decade ago to Lou Gehrig's disease, but Brett looked like Thor. I mean, he had that long, feathered in the 70s hair, and a physique like out of a comic book. So I'm looking around at my class, wondering how am I going to fit into this thing? And then you go a class or two ahead, older, and you're thinking about Craig Austin and Tim Stroop and Steve Claggett and Dick Hillen, and take your pick. And I'm going, okay, this isn't getting any better. These guys are men. I mean, and then finally you get to the seniors. Now the seniors, and Pat, this was around your time, I know. We're just coming off the 1978 NCC Conference Championship, and so these guys, I mean, Dave Schwab, Russ Docken, Ben Long, Mike Teslo, and I'm thinking I still have this memory of Mike Teslo. I mean, listen, if I was going to get in a street fight, or if the benches were going to be cleared, I was going to be right next to Mike Teslo, because I'm telling you, man, that guy was tough, period. And so again, I'm looking around at all of this, and then the seniors, they're bigger than life, and honest to goodness, I just don't know where I'm going to fit in, because I'm a $180. And I will tell you quickly, that $180, by the time I went home for Christmas that first fall, I had gained 50 pounds of muscle. I mean, in Meller, I never saw a weight. I didn't even know what a free weight was. And so I guess USD in the football program, it absolutely transformed me. I mean, I had to buy all new clothes. And finally, by Christmas, I think I finally fit in there. But again, I'm going to go backwards, back to fall camp, because it's a story that stuck with me all my life, and it has to do with Russ Docken. And so I'm on the scout team, and I'm a D end at a $180. And Russ Docken is across from me most of the time as all-American tight end, one of the best tight ends in USD history. And he's the guy that I'm across from, for the next 3 months. And so I'm thinking to myself, and I'm a little scared, and what does Russ Docken do? But right from the start, he treats me with respect. He doesn't pummel me. Well, he pummels me, but not for the sake of just being a lowly freshman. And then finally, as the weeks went on, he started giving me the sign, I called it. And I don't know if you can see this, but it was, if you can picture Doc's hand down by his knee, he'd go like this. And that meant, hey, pal, ball's not coming anywhere near us. Let's just take a breath. And so at any rate, Doc, if you're out there, thank you. You know, I just remember how it felt, and how it felt for someone to treat me like that when I was kind of anxious and nervous and didn't have a lot of confidence. And I think without knowing it, and without the phrase, the brotherhood, you know, Russ Dockin brought me into the brotherhood. And honestly, it's a lesson that I brought with me ever since. I brought it to one of the you know, highest ranked law schools in the nation. And I brought it into my career right to this day. And that lesson that Doc taught me, that's kept with me, it's pretty simple. You know, you just treat people with respect. You try to help them. You try to mentor them if you can. And it's all about respect. And I think that's helped me be a better leader. I certainly like to use positive reinforcement as opposed to the whip, 100% of the time. And so again, Doc, thank you. Really, that I survived my freshman year. My sophomore year, had another mentor, a senior, Kurt Schuster, was at the end, great guy. He got injured once in a while, and old Jerus got to go in a little bit. But really, it was my junior and senior years when kind of the light went on. I had that 50 pounds of muscle finally, and really had just a wonderful experience for the Coyotes. Fortunate enough to be on all NCC second team. Could never break into the first team, but had some academic awards, and just, wow, fellas, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And so I guess that brings me to, here's a USD connection. So not unlike your last guest, maybe a week ago, I did an internship, accounting internship through USD, and my buddy Chevy Kurtenbach, number 38, and I drove out to Denver. I was with Arthur Anderson. I think he was with Pete Marwick. Anyway, so we start our careers out of USD. We do the internships. I end up going back to Denver that summer and actually working full time. I think Chevy went to Minneapolis, Touche Ross. Either way, I had followed Dick Hilland. He was a year ahead of me, and Dick Hilland, who was an accounting major, smart guy, he had actually gone out to Denver first, so I was kind of following him. So once again, you know, you're just the brotherhood. We didn't really call it that back then, but we were all together. And so I spent 2 or 3 years, about 3 years in Denver, according to my plan. I then went to law school, 86 to 89. Started working in Minneapolis for a law firm, trial law firm. Figured out that there's an easier way to be a lawyer than to be a trial lawyer. Although my old man was a trial lawyer, and truly the only lawyer is a trial lawyer. And I believe that. I'm more of a glorified accountant. But at any rate, in homage to my father, I kept being a lawyer, and then went in-house with a Fortune 500 company in St. Paul. So I'm in the Twin Cities for, gosh, 15, 20 years. Before I found my way back to South Dakota, finally, about 2003. And just for the heck of it, before I left to go back to South Dakota, I got this job. That's what brought me back to South Dakota with the governor of South Dakota, Bill Janklow. I was his chief legal counsel. And I just have to comment one thing. On 9/11, okay, 2001, to be in a state capitol when that happened was kind of an amazing experience. It's not USD related, I guess, but I'll just let you know that by 11 o'clock that morning. It's just weird to see because you're locked down, and we all have our own 9/11 stories, I know, but that was kind of amazing because I didn't know Highway Patrol have, machine guns. National Guard, they've got lots of weaponry, and they're walking around, and it's just surreal. And then you're on the phone with the White House at 11 a.m. They did all the governor's offices, talking for the first time in history about Homeland Security. And so it's just another life experience, fellas, that I'm just thankful to have. So then when the governor left his governorship and it was time for him to go, then I moved to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where I've been for the last 20 years, working at a bank and running a wealth management department. So that kind of brings me to, I guess, today, for what it's worth.
Wonderful. That's such a great history. I'd love to hear more on that sometime. But Pat, you want to take the next question?
Yeah. Jerus, lots of challenges as an athlete coming from Miller, South Dakota, small town, competing. A lot of lessons along the way too. So then as you transition into your professional life, in a very accomplished professional life, what did you learn on the field that helped you in your professional challenges?
Well, always a good question, Pat. I don't know that I have a perfect answer. Challenges, goodness. We all get challenges every single day. There's big ones, okay? A mother with dementia, a daughter with special needs. That kind of goes in the direction of the good Lord. But for those day-to-day work and, maintaining your car, which I hate, all of the little things that we all deal with each and every day, it's easy to look back and go, listen, it's just work ethic, man. It's organizing your life in such a way that you can get all of these little bothersome things done. And particularly with me, and I could never really figure out why this challenge was so deep in me. And it's pretty simple. I don't trust people when it comes to my job. For whatever reason, that ability to delegate or to trust people or to hand things off, it just wasn't in me. But I guess people who know me know I'm basically an anal retentive, kind of OCD, detailed accountant lawyer type, and it just wasn't in me. And so I really struggled with that challenge. But I have learned in the last 20 years, I'm getting better at it, that like a football team, because I don't understand why, because I trusted my coaches, I trusted my teammates. I look back and have lots of wonderful memories about that. But for whatever reason, I got to just keep working on trusting people, delegating, and letting other people, because let's face it, fellas, you can't do it alone. And I have figured that out in the last 20 years. You can't do it alone, and you have to have people around you. So I'm getting better at that.
Wonderful. Well, my question has to do with a good life or career or financial tip. I know that you've obviously advanced your education and you've probably learned a lot of things about life and business and money and taxes along the way. What's one tip you can share with the Brotherhood members that maybe comes out of your archive of wisdom that you could give us all some insight to, or some details? Is there a tax-free trust option that we can all put our money in and live happily ever after, or what's the good news, Jerus?
Well, hey, first step, fellas, is to reside in a state that has no state income tax, like South Dakota, or like JR's Florida. There's only like 6 states, so unless you're living in one of those 6 states, you're kind of out of luck. You're paying, state income tax. That said, the state of South Dakota has the most trust assets like in the world. I mean, trillions of dollars or paper assets reside in our state. And so if you ever want to talk about if you don't live in South Dakota and you own land or you have any big assets, we can always put a trust together for you with a South Dakota situs. And I do lots of that as well. But beyond that, and I'm going to give you a visual aid. Honestly, when it first occurred to me, advice, my wife said, well, just tell people what you would tell your kids. And so you're stuck with this now. And this, I don't know if you can see this. This is my visual aid. I don't know. Can you see
There you
it?
go.
Can you read that?
Attitude of gratitude. Yes.
Amen. That's been my life for 20 years. And my sister gave me that a few years ago because she's tired of hearing it all the time. So honestly, my advice is pretty simple, and it's an attitude of gratitude. I whisper it every morning when I wake up. Probably whisper it most nights before I fall asleep. It's just my thing, and it's simple. It's free, and it's just simply making that conscious decision every day to appreciate and be thankful for everything that you've got, that you've already been blessed with. And so it's just helped me immensely, because going back to challenges, what I found is what I'll call big challenges. Because again, dementia, I've got a sister-in-law who I pray for. My mother recently passed, special needs with some kids. I mean, there's big stuff in all our lives. And how do you address it? How do you get through it? And I've just found attitude of gratitude. If you can be thankful in the worst situations, and we all can be, we can find 5 things that we're thankful for, no matter what's happening in our lives. And it's truly helped me. And so that's basically my advice. And what it really does is it helps me with, I think we all have priorities in our lives, and I'll bet you they're about the same as what I'm going to tell you. And it's faith, family, health, and your job. And I've just found that being grateful and thankful and recognizing that every day or 5 times a day just really, really helps me put everything into perspective. Doesn't necessarily fix everything, but it sure helps you get through, life's challenges. So I'll just keep it simple. Attitude of gratitude, fellas. It's free.
Good stuff.
Good. Wonderful.
Love it. Any parting words, Pat?
I know. Hey, we got South Dakota State this weekend in a huge game. Jerus, if you're in front of the team, what do you tell them?
Well, first of all, I'm going to that game with my old college roommate, another colleague from football, Terry Kurtenbach. So I will be there. God dang it. We've all been there, fellas. What do you say? Other than things that I can't say online right now, but really looking forward to the game. Really looking forward to the game.
Love it.
I know one thing you can say is, got a second?
Yeah.
All we need is 1 second to win the game, right?
Yeah.
JR, any final words from you?
Hey, Jerus, great message. Really appreciate that. That was beautiful, the way you laid things out. I love that attitude of gratitude. I kind of believe something very similar. So thank you for your message tonight. I know the guys will love it. My pleasure. Thank you, fellas.
You bet.
Thank you.
Just to wrap up, if you would like to get in touch with Jerus, go to our website, go to coyotebrotherhood.com, and you can take a look at the membership directory. Reach out to us if you have specific questions. We can get you connected up. And yeah, the things I took away was what Jerus said is that, the Brotherhood is there to support you, not just when you're on the field, but when you're off the field. And I know that Dockin and other Brotherhood members would love to continue to help another brother out that's just graduated or just in a position of transition. So make sure that you're leaning into the Brotherhood for that. Have an attitude of gratitude. And if you want zero tax planning, give Jerus a call. He'll figure out a way to do it. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys all soon. And thanks again, Jerus, for being here.
You bet. Thank you.
Good work. Yes.